you've mentioned that you are really interested in acting as well. How did you find out about your interest in acting, I guess? Right? How did you realize that you're interested in that, and what aspect of this piqued your interest? Because obviously it's a very specific role, it's a very specific activity. So I assume that there's something that specific that got your attention as well.
Yeah, I think it kind of started with music videos. Um
Hmm.
just really enjoyed doing it for some reason. Um but then, when me and my friends started making that comedy series, it was just like such freedom. Like it was freedom from like myself and from you
Hmm.
just get to do like whatever. And that was the nature of that project. But I think it's just like realizing you get to like write these experiences that you would never have in
Yeah.
real life.
Cool.
And it's just cool. I feel like I've developed like new aspects of myself through doing that. And,
Hmm.
in the last year I've just been working on, natural kind of acting and just
Yeah.
figuring out how to be able to be comfortable doing that. Um, and it's just good, it's helps me kind of try to push that voice in my head aside a little bit. So it's like
Hmm.
a little bit of personal growth too. And again, like I'm still pretty new at it, but so far that's kind of how it's been. And then, it's interesting. Like I did like a monologue the other day just to kind of do some practice, I just
Yeah.
shot it and like watching it back, knowing what I was thinking the whole time and feeling like, oh, this isn't very good. And then seeing it actually translated. And it's just interesting. It's just the way you think you look or you're doing, it's not always true. So it's
Yeah.
just been really interesting kind of learning thing for me. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so interesting. Like, did you experience difficulties doing this in front of people? Like, assuming another role or performing, I guess, or was it natural for you to immerse yourself into the role and just be the person that you need to be?
I think like when I'm doing like a character that's
Hmm.
just like a different voice or whatever, it's like I can easily just snap into it.
Yeah.
But as far as just like, doing something more grounded, I haven't really had that experience yet, besides just like my close friends. So
Yeah.
it's hard to say. But even, just doing stuff on Zoom, yeah, it's always a little harder. And that's something that I want to get past, just
Hmm.
you're talking to someone else, you just immediately kind of get a little more in your head.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe that'll just come with practice, and that's something that I'm actively trying to just work on. So yeah.
Nice. Um, is there like something, maybe an actor or a movie that influences you to perfect your craft and to like get involved into this sort of project, or is it more about the personal experience that mainly interests you?
No, I think I have actors that I'm just like I would love to be able to do that. Like Jake Gyllenhaal is one of my favorite actors.
Yes.
Shia LaBeouf, Elijah Wood, Daniel Radcliffe, just people who they're just themselves a lot of times. Any
Yeah.
actors who just themselves and they're themselves in every role, but they're just able to do it. That always inspires me a lot. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What's your favorite Jay Gyllenhaal movie?
I would say probably Zodiac. That's probably my
Oh,
favorite.
nice, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Have you watched the new Roadhouse?
I did, yeah.
Did you like
Yeah.
it?
I did, yeah. I mean, I like Conor McGregor too. I always thought he was funny. I think he did great. I
Yeah,
thought it was good. Like I wasn't going into it expecting like a big thing. I just
yeah,
was like, this was fun, and it was cool. Yeah.
yeah. It was definitely better than, because I didn't have high expectations as well. Because as yourself, I wasn't expecting to be a masterpiece or whatever, but it was definitely way funnier than I was imagining it to be.
Yeah.
And Conor McGregor is just ridiculous. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
So, yeah, it was funny.
Yeah. What's the last movie that you've watched that really impressed you and influenced you to some extent?
It was actually a recent movie called Marmalade. It's like a new kind of indie film with Joe Keery.
Oh
Um,
yes, yes.
I just really liked it. Like it just really hit me. Like, some movies just leave you with a feeling, and it was just kind of an indie feeling type thing, just kind of a
Hmm.
light comedy.
Yeah.
But and I spent like a week recently watching a bunch of early like 2000s comedies,
Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite and Juno and
Yes.
Dodgeball and all that. And it's just like, man, that's such a the feeling in those movies just it's harder to find these days. So I love that though, you know. So
Yeah, I'm constantly talking about this specific period in cinema because, yeah, as you've said, the atmosphere there is so specific and it's so distinguishable, and it's such a, feel good vibe, I guess, and so
yeah,
immersive. So, and I'm kind of handling these sort of discussions when it comes to music as well, but especially when it comes to music, to movies, I mean, there's so much good stuff there.
absolutely. And I think the same with music too, at least
Yeah,
for me, like a lot of early 2000s, like just a vibe that this is not there anymore. So
absolutely. Like, I was actually going to ask you about that as well because it really seemed, and that's my personal opinion, obviously, but to me, it really seems that, especially when it comes to alternative music as well, that it really peaked around 2008, 2012, around that period. And at the moment, I don't know if it's because I'm growing up or whatever and I'm getting older, but it doesn't seem that music has this sort of authenticity and, genuinity to it. Like, do you feel the same? Do you still listen um to alternative music, or yeah,
yeah, so like I actually don't listen to that much music anymore.
yeah,
For some reason, I don't, it just doesn't do much for me now, you know, for some reason. But
yeah,
yeah, no, I do keep up with some artists, but yeah, I think like it's just production has changed.
hmm,
You know, people just go for a lot cleaner sound, and
yeah,
whereas a lot of those earlier bands, it was just more raw. And I think
yes,
a lot of those bands worked with like the same producers
produce,
and studios and stuff like that. So I think that was a factor. But yeah, man, no, I definitely agree with you. Like the odd time I'll find a song that's like, oh, this is, you know, feels
yeah,
like that. But I think a lot of it too is like, you know, someone will kind of set a trend, like the emo rap, stuff like that, and then everyone starts
yes,
to kind of go that way, which I also tried, you know. But
yeah,
yeah, it's interesting, man, just trends and how everything kind of flows. It's maybe one day it'll kind of go back, but
hmm,
I think part of it is, you know, anyone can just make a song now on
so
their
yeah.
laptop and all that stuff. So it's just a different kind of world. So